Right now, as you are watching this, molten rock is glowing inside the crater of one of the most dangerous volcanoes on Earth. Earlier today, on July 15th, Mayon Volcano in the Philippines produced a series of explosive strombolian eruptions, launching incandescent lava high above the summit in broad daylight. This isn't a one-off event. Mayon has been continuously erupting since January of this year, and it has already killed people in the past when they got too close. Today, we are going to break down exactly what is happening at this volcano right now, why it has been called the most dangerous mountain in the Philippines, what history tells us about what could still happen, and why. Over 100,000 people are living under its shadow at this very moment. No guessing, no dramatizing, just the facts, the science, and the real stakes. Drop a comment right now. Have you ever lived near an active volcano, or watched one erupt from a distance? Tell me where you were and what it felt like. If you want to be the first to know every time something major happens geologically, subscribe to the channel right now. It is completely free. A thumbs up also helps enormously. Let's go for 5,000 likes on this one so the algorithm actually shows it to the people who need to see it. Thank you. Now, let's get into it. What is happening right now? Mayon sits on Luzon Island in the Philippines, rising more than 2,400 meters, about 8,000 feet above the Albay Gulf near the city of Legazpi. It is instantly recognizable as one of the most perfectly symmetrical stratovolcano cones on the planet. The kind of near-flawless triangle shape you'd draw if someone asked you to sketch a volcano from memory. That beauty is part of what makes it so deceptive, because underneath that perfect symmetry sits the most consistently active volcano in the entire country. The current eruption began in early January 2026, when the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, known as PHIVOLCS, first detected increased rockfalls near the summit along with inflation of the mountain's upper slopes, a sign that magma was pushing upward from below. On January 6th, once lava began flowing from the crater in pyroclastic density currents, fast-moving clouds of superheated ash, gas, and rock fragments started moving down one flank. PHIVOLCS raised the alert level to 3 on their 5-level scale, meaning increased tendency toward a hazardous eruption. That alert level has not come down since. As of the most recent PHIVOLCS reports in July, lava is still actively flowing down 3 separate drainage channels on the mountain's flanks, known as gullies. The Basud Gully on the east flank has a lava flow extending 3.8 kilometers. The Bonga Gully on the southeast flank has one reaching 3.2 kilometers. The Miisi Gully on the south flank sits at roughly 2.1 kilometers. On a single day in early July, PHIVOLCS recorded 241 seismically detected rockfalls and 6 separate pyroclastic density currents rumbling down the slopes. Crater glow, meaning you can see the orange light of active magma from the summit with the naked eye, has been visible consistently. And earlier today, that activity intensified into a series of explosive strombolian eruptions, throwing incandescent lava fragments high above the crater rim in dramatic bursts caught on camera by observers near Legazpi. Why scientists are watching the gas emissions closely, one number PHIVOLCS tracks obsessively, is sulfur dioxide output, because it's one of the clearest signals of how much fresh magma is moving beneath the surface. On July 10th alone, Mayon's SO2 emissions averaged 7,175 tons per day. To put that in context, background levels at a resting volcano are close to 0, and even the elevated readings earlier this year, which at one point reached 6,569 tons in a single day back in February, were considered the highest single-day reading in 15 years. Those numbers have since been exceeded multiple times in 2026 alone. High and rising sulfur dioxide output generally means magma is actively degassing near the surface, which keeps pressure building inside the system. It doesn't tell scientists exactly when a large or explosive event will happen, but it tells them the volcano is nowhere close to going quiet. Combined with the rockfall counts, the pyroclastic density currents, and the persistent lava effusion, this is a volcano in a sustained active eruptive phase, not a brief flare-up that's about to fade out. The 6-kilometer zone. Nobody's allowed to enter. Here's what makes Mayon different from most volcanoes you'll hear about in the news. A PHIVOLCS maintains a permanent 6-kilometer danger zone around the summit at all times, not just during active eruptions. Around most volcanoes in the world, exclusion zones expand and contract depending on current unrest. At Mayon, the 6-kilometer radius is permanent because the volcano's eruption style, frequent pyroclastic flows and lahars racing down roughly 40 ravines that radiate outward from the summit, makes that zone dangerous even during quieter periods. During the current eruption, more than 100,000 people across Albay province have been affected in some way, and thousands of residents from communities inside the permanent danger zone have been moved into government-run evacuation shelters, with additional families outside the zone relocating voluntarily as a precaution. This isn't a temporary inconvenience for these communities. Many families near Mayon have lived through this exact cycle of evacuation and return multiple times in their lives, because Mayon doesn't erupt once every few generations. According to the Smithsonian Global Volcanism Program, which maintains the most complete eruption database in the world, Mayon has erupted at least 65 confirmed times since the first recorded eruption in 1616. That works out to a major eruption roughly every 6 years on average, making it one of the most frequently active volcanoes anywhere on Earth. Why this history matters. So much to understand why PHIVOLCS treats every uptick in activity here so seriously, you need to know what this volcano has already done. On February 1st, 1814, Mayon produced its deadliest recorded eruption, a VEI-4 event, sending pyroclastic flows and lahars, fast-moving mixtures of volcanic debris and water, racing down its slopes. Over 200 people were killed. Hundreds of them had sought shelter inside the Cagsawa church, believing its stone walls would protect them. The church was completely buried by the eruption. Today, only the bell tower still rises above the volcanic debris, and it has become one of the most photographed and recognizable landmarks in the entire Philippines, a permanent physical reminder of what this mountain is capable of. The pattern repeated in 1897, when an eruption killed between 350 and 400 people over a violent 7-day phase, with lava flowing 11 kilometers down the eastern flank. And in 1993, pyroclastic flows moving down the same gullies that are active again right now killed 77 farmers. These weren't people who ignored a warning out of recklessness in the dramatic sense. Many had simply gone back to tend their fields inside the danger zone during a lull in activity, not realizing the mountain could turn violent again with almost no additional notice. That single historical fact, that people were killed for returning to their land during what looked like a quiet period, is the exact reason PHIVOLCS refuses to shrink the danger zone even when Mayon's activity temporarily calms down. The open vent volcano problem, volcanologists who study Mayon describe it using a specific term, an open vent volcano. Some volcanoes build up pressure behind a solid plug of cooled rock for years or decades, and when that plug finally fails, the result is a single, sudden, catastrophic explosion, the kind of event that can catch everyone off guard. Mayon behaves differently. Its central conduit stays relatively open, allowing gas and magma to move up toward the surface more continuously. That's part of why it erupts so frequently compared to other volcanoes, but it also means the mountain rarely goes fully silent for long stretches. It cycles between quieter, effusive phases, where lava slowly oozes down the flanks, and more explosive, strombolian phases, like the one caught on camera earlier today, where gas-charged magma bursts apart at the surface and throws incandescent fragments into the air. This open vent behavior is actually one reason scientists can monitor Mayon so effectively. Because the system stays active and communicative rather than sealed shut, PHIVOLCS can track rockfall counts, seismic tremor, ground deformation, and gas emissions on a near-daily basis, and get a continuously updated picture of what's happening beneath the surface, rather than trying to guess what's building up behind a hidden barrier. What happens if you live there? For the communities of Albay province, life under Mayon's Alert Level 3 status means a specific set of rules. Anyone inside the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone is required to stay evacuated for as long as the alert remains active. Local governments coordinate emergency shelters, and communities near the base of the volcano, including areas around Kamalig and Ginabatan, have repeatedly experienced ashfall settling over rooftops, crops, and roads whenever wind carries the plume in their direction. Fishing and farming, two of the region's main sources of income, get disrupted every time evacuation orders extend, because families can't tend fields or reach the coast safely from inside a shelter. Outside of active eruption phases, the region around Legazpi City, roughly 13 kilometers from the summit, has actually built a significant tourism economy around Mayon's beauty, drawing visitors specifically to photograph that famous symmetrical cone and the buried bell tower at Cagsawa. It's a strange dynamic that PHIVOLCS scientists and local residents both live with constantly. The same mountain that generates tourism revenue during calm periods is the same mountain capable of forcing tens of thousands of people from their homes within days. What scientists are watching for next right now, PHIVOLCS is not forecasting an imminent VEI 4-scale catastrophic eruption like 1814. The current activity, sustained lava, effusion, periodic pyroclastic density currents, and today's explosive strombolian bursts, is consistent with what the observatory calls Mayon's typical Alert Level 3 behavior, serious and requiring strict avoidance of the danger zone, but not automatically escalating toward the country's highest alert level. What scientists watch for as signs that could push the alert level higher include a sudden sharp increase in seismicity, a significant jump in sulfur dioxide output beyond current elevated levels, accelerating ground deformation, suggesting a much larger volume of magma is on the move, or PDCs beginning to travel measurably farther than the 2 to 4 kilometer ranges currently being recorded. For now, the situation is best described as a serious, ongoing monitored crisis, rather than an unpredictable surprise. That distinction matters. Mayon isn't a dormant volcano that suddenly woke up without warning. It is a volcano behaving exactly the way its 400-year eruption record says it behaves, cycling through active phases with reasonable regularity, being watched constantly by one of the most experienced volcano observatories in the world. Final thought. Mayon's perfect cone shape has made it one of the most photographed mountains on Earth, and its consistent repeated eruptions have made it one of the most studied. Both of those facts come from the same source. This volcano builds itself back up methodically after every eruption, then does it again. On a timeline, scientists can trace back over 4 centuries. The bell tower at Cagsawa, standing alone above buried ground for more than 200 years, is the clearest reminder anywhere in the Philippines of what happens when people underestimate this mountain. Today's eruption is a continuation of a story that has been unfolding since January, not a new crisis appearing out of nowhere. And the people of Albay province, along with the scientists at PHIVOLCS, are living that story in real time, day by day, rockfall by rockfall. We will keep tracking this one as it develops, along with every other major seismic and volcanic story happening around the world right now. Subscribe so you don't miss the next update out of Albay province, and leave that comment below. Have you ever lived near an active volcano? Tell me where and what it felt like. 5,000 likes on this video. Let's go. See you in the next one.